Hey doing guys, Dave Brummer here. So one of the problems that I see with some coaches when they're doing core training with their athletes is that they're relying on visual cues to know if their athlete is doing a movement correctly or not. For me, I like to teach my athletes how to self-assess when they're doing that because I can't feel what they feel. So I don't know if they feel like their back is working too hard. Even if an exercise looks right to me, it may be wrong for them. So one of the first things that I like to teach people is a way to enhance their mind-muscle connection to their lower abdominals and just get really good pelvic control. So I teach a posterior pelvic tilt in this sort of hip bridge position. So I'm gonna have Blake do some of this for us. I'm gonna have him place his hands on his hip bones right here. I'm gonna have him close his eyes so that he can focus a little bit more closely on his lower abdominal muscles. I'm gonna have him go through an anterior to posterior pelvic tilt. Usually what I tell people is anterior, you're just gonna get that nice big arch in your lower back. Try to create as much space as you can between your spine and the mat. You do the posterior pelvic tilt, you're trying to close that space down as much as you possibly can. Shorten the space between your hips and your ribs. So I'm gonna have him go through and do some anterior pelvic tilts, some posterior pelvic tilts. I'm gonna get him to exhale as he does that posterior pelvic tilt as well. That's gonna get him to engage his deep core muscles a little bit, especially if he gets a hard exhale when he's going to do that. Good interior, good posterior pelvic tilt. And again, I'm just looking to make sure that his rib cage isn't flaring up when he does that anterior tilt, making sure that as he does that posterior pelvic tilt, his hips don't necessarily come up off the ground. Eventually I'll get him doing a hip bridge with this movement, but for now I just want to get that mind-muscle connection. So you can't really do that exercise incorrectly. I just want them to feel that, to start to become aware of those muscles and to know what it feels like when those muscles are contracted.